Okay, I'm going to just do some example problems, thinking that it might be helpful. So this is basically Algebra 1, sections 9.1 through 9.3, where we add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. And I'll also show you the FOIL and special products concepts. I might break the video down into two if it starts to get a little long. I just noted the time I started this. So here are two polynomials. Every operation being performed here is either addition or subtraction. So these parentheses just don't matter. And if I'm going to rewrite this without the parentheses, this is rarely the case, but I threw this one out at you. These are not written in degree order. So notice here I would want to write the 10x squared first, then plus the 4x, then minus 5 if I want to put them in order of degree. And then the 3x squared, then the negative 2x, and then the 1. Now, if you're comfortable adding horizontally, we're really just combining like terms. So here's an x squared and here's an x squared. I like to say that those are apples. So if I have 10 apples plus 3 apples, I get 13 apples. And then if I have 4 bananas minus 2 bananas, that gives me 2 bananas. And then I have a negative 5 and a positive 1. That gives me a minus 4. So there's my answer. Now, the vertical method would look like this. Here's my 10x squared, here's my 4x, and there's my 5. Now, incidentally, that's really an x to the 1. And technically, there is an x to the 0 here. But remember, x to the 0 is just 1. And that's why we don't write it. But keep in mind that I am doing this in descending order. And then I'm going to add 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then I can just add vertically 13x squared plus 2x minus 4. So whichever method you're comfortable with, horizontal or vertical. Let's do another one for good measure. Oh, I decided to do a subtraction. That's right. So again, I'm going to write these in order. 10x squared plus 4x minus 5. Now, I'm subtracting everything in this parentheses. So I have to do a minus 3x squared, and I'm going to do my x term next. And a minus minus becomes a plus 2x, and then a minus 1 becomes a minus 1. So if I do my apples, again, now this time I have 10 apples minus 3 apples. So I get 7 apples, and then I have plus 4 bananas plus 2 bananas. That gives me plus 6 bananas, and then I have my negative 5 and my negative 1, and that's a negative 6. Again, vertically, I would have 10x squared plus 4x minus 5, and then this was minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then 10x squared minus 3x squared is 7x squared. A 4x minus a minus becomes a plus. And a negative 5 minus a 1 gives me negative 6. If the temperature is negative 5 and I drop 1 degree, I'm now at negative 6. So there's the, just notice that when you're subtracting, you have to make sure that that subtraction belongs to everybody. So that was the key with that. A couple of more just to kind of keep you honest. X squared minus 3x plus 4. If I'm going to subtract everything in here, that's going to become a plus x squared. That's going to be a minus 5x. And that's going to be a minus 1. And again, there's my like terms. So 1x squared plus 1x squared is 2x squared. Negative 3x, negative 5x is negative 8x, and then 4 and negative 1 is plus 3. Vertically, this would look like x squared minus 3x plus 4 minus a negative x squared plus a 5x plus a 1. 1x squared minus minus 1 becomes 2x squared. Negative 3x minus 5x would be negative 8x, and 4 minus 1 would be positive 3. So again, horizontal or vertical format, whichever works for you. Now, here's an interesting one. So here's negative 4x squared plus 3x minus 1, and I'm going to add x plus 2 to it. So if I'm going to add those vertically, I don't put the x plus 2 over here, I put them in their places. And then if I'm adding everybody, I just have a negative 4x squared. There's no x squareds in this polynomial. And this is a 3x plus a 1x gives me a 4x, and a negative 1 plus a 2 is a positive 1. So this is just an example of where when you are adding vertically, and this is what I like about adding vertically, is you can put everybody in the right location. I'm sipping tea. Okay. What about multiplying? Now, most of us are pretty familiar with the distributive property. I just want to emphasize some things. So this is an x. Notice I just put a 1 in front of there because when I'm multiplying 1x times 3x squared, because that's what I have to do, I have to distribute this to everybody. And then I'm going to have a plus a 1x times a negative 2x plus a 1x times a 1. That's what's happening. So if I'm going to multiply these, I'm going to multiply 1 times 3 times x squared plus 1 times negative 2 times x times x. I'm going to put them in an order that makes sense. I have a 1 times a negative 2 times an x plus a 1 times a 1 times an x. So 1 times 3 is 3, x times x squared is x cubed, 3x cubed. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. X times x is x squared. And then 1 times 1 is 1 times x. So here it is all written out very formally, but a lot of us can just, look at this and say 1 times 3 is 3, x times x squared is x cubed. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, x times x is x squared. 1 times 1 is 1, x. There you go. Little tricky when I've got a negative out front. I'm going to distribute this to this. So negative 1 times positive 1 is negative x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. And then negative times positive 3 is negative 3. X squared times x is x cubed. So it's just the distributive property. If you feel like writing it out will help you, then write them out. If you feel like you can just do it in your head, you can do it in your head as long as you're getting it right. All right, I'm going to stop this video there, and then we are going to move on to FOIL and then special products in the next video.